Botswana is a very unique country in southern Africa because it has very high socio-demographic indicators for the population. It has what is believed to be and asserted to be a very strong government. Plus, the Okavango Delta in particular is a really unique ecosystem. It's an inland freshwater delta in the middle of a desert, and that's a very rare thing to find on the surface of the earth. The culture that we focused on was the San Bushman culture. We were able to spend several days in a San village, living with, even working a little bit with the San community. It was a fantastic experience. It was an exclusive experience because the village was San only, so we weren't really interacting with other communities at that time. We were able to engage with the San community in Dakar on a number of different ways. One of the things that I'll talk about first is a mapping project that we did. The students walked around the village and literally recorded the locations of and the type of structures that were present in Dakar.
So when we got to Dakar, we actually held a little mapping exercise where we had all the students pair up and actually take these field papers, these little maps, little segments of the community, and actually go around and ground truth the maps that we created using the satellite imagery. So being on the ground and looking at the map, they can correct any errors that were there. So if a building is no longer there, they can simply mark it out. If a building is missing, we can sort of sketch that in. As well, important for that exercise is that we can enrich the database by actually adding information such as what buildings are used as houses, which are clinics, which are stores, which are barns, where goats are held, things like this. So we can really enrich the data set in the OSM database by actually doing the field work.
So one of the most unique parts about this experience was getting to spend a week in Dakar, learning directly from the San about their culture, their language, and their customs, and that's not something that you could find almost at all from anthropological books, and it's not something I feel like you could fully understand unless you've been there.
Founding members have realized that if we not preserve the culture of this minority community, and in years to come there will be no San people, because the country itself is dominated by Tswana people. So our next goal from here is to see the San people be empowered. We are making a platform that will empower San people, starting with youth and elderly people. So how? That's the challenge we are having.
We spent a couple days at a game farm that is run by the San, and we learned many different things about San culture in the game experience, in tracking in the bush, starting fire, trance dancing, and a number of other things. And then in a bigger sense, we looked at the tourism economy, and in the Okavango Delta in particular, who was working in tourism? Was it local communities? Were there San who were involved? Was it Botswana? What communities were the ones who were involved in hosting tourists, in managing the enterprise in the tourist economy?
So experiential learning was something that obviously you can't do through a GW classroom, so being able to go to the location and interact with the cultures you're studying and interact with the environments that you're hearing are so important to the tourism industry in Botswana. That was definitely something that was an advantage for this trip.
I think for everybody, and certainly for me, a highlight of the trip was the safari that we did. We had a couple days at the end of the trip where we were able to go into the Okavango. We had two large safari vehicles full of our class, the students and the class leaders. And we went deep into the Okavango, many hours driving on sand and dirt roads. We were definitely off the beaten path. So combining the government stability and the socio-demographic indicators with the uniqueness of the Delta, I felt this would be a fantastic place to take students. And based on the way the trip went, I think it was a really good location for students to learn and experience many unique things.